Welcome to episode 14 of the Soulful Menopause podcast. Today's episode is all about connecting with the moon to support your health and your well-being as you transition through menopause. Welcome to the Soulful Menopause podcast. Discover how to transform the chaos of menopause into vibrant health and a soulful life you'll love. I'm Sally Love, natural nutritionist and soul wisdom coach. I want you to experience a soulful menopause that'll guide you into the best years of your life. Welcome, Fire Moon Goddess. I hope you enjoyed my last episode on fire. Today's episode is all about the moon. Now, in case you don't know, over these 3 episodes, we're looking at the Fire Moon Goddess, focusing on each of her aspects in turn: fire, moon, and goddess. In these episodes, we're exploring the sacred wisdom that the Fire Moon Goddess holds, so that we can begin to connect with her on a deeper level and allow her wonderful energies into our lives. And the Fire Moon Goddess is you, by the way. Yes, it's you. You are a Fire Moon Goddess. So as we explore the different aspects of fire, the moon, and the goddess, I hope that this really helps you to discover your own sacred wisdom within these episodes. And if you haven't listened to the last 2 episodes, I would strongly encourage you to do that first. So today we're looking at the moon and how it affects our health and well-being, and how the moon influences our energy and our motivation, and how it affects our emotions and the way that we emotionally respond to life, and so much more. Plus, I've actually got something really exciting to tell you about at the end of this episode, with an amazing offer that I have to share with you as well. The moon holds a lot of wisdom and power. And if we choose to spend some time connecting with her, she can really influence our health and well-being. She can also enhance our spiritual lives and bring more joy and magic and play into our lives. The moon's soft and gentle, magical rays are associated with a feminine energy, and the sun's sort of harsher and stronger rays are attributed to a masculine energy. So the moon is often referred to as feminine. And there are many, many ancient moon goddesses, but we'll talk about this in our next episode on the goddess. So I want to move on to the 8 phases of the moon cycle. Well, actually, I think there are 9, and I'm going to tell you all about that and why in just a moment. But for now, I'm just going to take you through the 8 recognized phases, and then you'll understand after that why I say that there are 9. So the first phase of the moon begins with the new moon, which is also called the dark moon. And this is when the moon isn't visible in the sky at all. Then it's followed by the waxing crescent moon. And so that's when you see a crescent moon in the sky. Then there's the first quarter, which is otherwise known as the half moon, because you literally do see half a moon in the sky. That's then followed by the waxing gibbous moon, when more than half of the moon is visible. So it sort of looks almost like an oval. And this is the time when it's the waxing gibbous moon, is when it's just moving up to the full moon. So you see it as almost like, like I say, almost like that oval in the sky. Then, of course, you have the full moon, which we're all very aware of. This is the time when the moon is completely illuminated. Then after the full moon, you move into the waning gibbous phase where, that's when more than half of the moon is visible again, but we're going to a waning phase now. So you're going to see it as that oval shape. And then the next stage is the third quarter, which is another half moon. But of course, that half moon is the opposite side of the moon that's illuminated, as in the first quarter. And then you have the waning crescent moon when you see the crescent in the sky. And that actually helps you to see, when you see that crescent in the sky, if you see that it would make the letter C, then you know that you're in the waning phase of the moon. The opposite direction of the crescent is the waxing phase. So that might help you to remember it. It's a little bit complicated to talk about, and a little bit difficult, I should say, to talk about when I'm on a podcast and I don't have a visual to take you through, but I hope that gives you some idea of those 8 phases. Now, as I said, I see that there are 9 phases, and this is because I separate the dark moon and the new moon. Now, like I said, most people just plonk them together and call the dark moon and the new moon the same, but I really disagree with that. The dark moon is when there's absolutely no light from the moon. It's dark, she's hidden, we can't see her. And she actually represents the death cycle of life. The new moon is the first day that you see a thin eyelash of moon in the sky. That first little teeny slither of moon that appears in the sky. And this phase represents rebirth and new beginnings. So you can't actually have a new beginning or a rebirth without some sort of death. So that's why I feel these 2 phases shouldn't be seen as one. They're very powerful in their own rights. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. The other reason I like 9 phases of the moon is because in numerology, the number 9 is a number of completion. It's the end of a cycle. So 9 phases of the moon ends a cycle and brings us into completion so that we're ready to start again, ready for that rebirth. So that feels really good to me. It sits well with me. It feels intuitively right to me somehow. Now, the moon moves through a full cycle from dark moon to dark moon again, approximately every 29.5 days. And actually, this is another really beautiful connection to the feminine, because the moon moves through a monthly cycle just as menstruating women do. And in the past, before electricity, women's bodies were more attuned to nature and more attuned to the moon. But now that we've got artificial lighting, lights from our phones and our TVs and our laptops, etc., these artificial lights actually disrupt our sleep-wake cycle. Now, this is really important because these artificial lights actually interfere with the production of the hormone melatonin, which relaxes us and makes us feel sleepy. Melatonin actually prepares us for a good night's sleep. So if we're exposing ourselves to these artificial lights at night, our bodies can't make enough melatonin and we start having sleep issues. And once our sleep patterns are disrupted, we're exposed to higher chances of illnesses and diseases, because when we sleep, our bodies rest, recuperate, and detox. There's a huge amount of healing that's going on when you're asleep. So if your sleep is interrupted or you're not getting enough good quality sleep, your health can really suffer. Not to mention, as we all well know, if we don't get enough sleep, it can disrupt your emotions, your energy levels, your ability to think clearly. You can feel groggy and irritable, and then that just affects your work and your relationships, and well, it can just lead you into one hot mess. And on top of that, during menopause, we can experience terrible sleep issues. So if you can connect with the moon during menopause, it could really help to improve your sleep patterns. Especially if you can just stop watching TV or looking at your phones or computers in the evenings. Now, I know that's a bit of a challenge, but if you can do that, even just try it one night a week to start off with, you'll notice the difference it will make. You'll start to read those books you've always wanted to read. You'll find that you'll be a lot more relaxed because maybe you're not watching TV that makes you get all anxious, or you're watching thrillers or things like this that get your heart pumping and get you wide awake and start throwing adrenaline around your body. And so you'll feel that you can relax so much easier at night. So give it a go and let me know how you get on with that. But it is a tough thing to do. So like I say, or it could be for you. So like I say, just try one night a week to start off with. Okay, no TV, for example, you may say after 7 o'clock at night. And just try that for a while and see how it goes, because I bet you'll start really enjoying that time, and you'll start maybe connecting with your partner or your family more or your friends more, and you'll find that time will become something really quite sacred to you, and it will most definitely improve your health and well-being, and hopefully your sleep patterns as well. So, as I said, in the times before artificial lighting, women were more attuned to nature. They were more influenced by the light of the sun and the light of the moon. And as a result, their bodies were in sync with nature. Now, there are several ancient customs where the menstrual cycle was honoured, and women had periods in sync with the moon, which meant that they bled during the dark moon and ovulated at the full moon. In fact, when I began studying and connecting with the moon many years ago, my periods actually synced with the phases, just like this. So I bled at the dark moon and I ovulated at the full moon. So I know that it can be done in modern day, even with all that artificial lighting and everything. Now, Native American women would go into what was known as the red tent when they were menstruating. They would menstruate around the dark moon, as I said, and so the women would gather together in a tent for sacred ceremony during this time. It was a time for the women to go within. They're going within that tent. They're going within themselves. It was a time for them to be quiet, to be introspective. And it was a deeply sacred time when they could listen to their intuition. I love that idea. I love that they were honoring themselves and honoring their bodies, honoring their connection to nature, honoring their intuition. And we can still do that when we reach menopause by attuning to the moon and honoring literally every one of the moon's phases and how they're affecting us. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in just a while. But the moon governs our emotions. In astrology, our moon sign symbolizes how we manage our emotions and how our emotions drive our choices in life. Now, my moon is in Libra, and I looked up a little bit of what it means for the moon to be in Libra, and cafeastrology.com says the moon in Libra people have a strong need for partnership. Without someone to share their lives with, they feel utterly incomplete. This is why many people with this position get involved in marriages or living together arrangements quite young. That is so true. I got married for the first time when I was 21. Now, obviously, there's a huge amount more to say about, how our moon sign influences us. But, this isn't the topic of today's episode. I just wanted you to get a flavor of how important and influential the moon is in our lives. And even more so if we can actually connect with her. Because the more we move away from nature, the more we move away from ourselves. We are nature. So taking time to connect with the moon means that you're taking time to connect with your true self, your soul. So I really hope that this podcast episode helps you to connect with the moon a little bit more and helps you to be inspired by her and to see how she influences your own life. So, each of the moon's phases holds a different energy for us, and that affects the way that we feel and act each month. So I want to talk a little bit about that now so that you can get more of a hold on this. So during a dark moon, we go within to our own darkness. We want to sleep more. We want to rest more. So as you can see, we're reflecting the darkness of the moon. And as I mentioned earlier, this was a time when women entered the red tent during their period. It's a natural time for menstruation. We can feel more dark, more tired during this phase. Our bodies are pulling us towards more quiet time, more introspective time. We can feel more drawn towards meditation during a dark moon. And we may also feel more of a pull to bring things to an end or a conclusion in some way. Because remember, I say the dark moon is that death aspect. So it's sort of like, what do you want to, what needs to die in your life? I'm not talking about you dying. I'm talking about, is there something in your life that you need to really sort of like say goodbye to? Now, the dark moon then moves into the new moon. As I say, that's that first little tiny slither of moon in the sky. The new moon inspires us. There's still not much physical action at this point. Like the dark moon, we still want to be a little bit quiet. But this is a time when we are most certainly more inspired. We're coming up with new ideas, a new moon, new ideas, a rebirth. So this is a great time to maybe have a little notebook handy or pop a little notes on your phone of all these new ideas that you're coming up with during the new moon before your head starts to come in with that logic and talk you out of these ideas. Pop them down on paper. And then we move into the waxing moon, and that's when we start taking action in our lives. We begin to feel more energized, more outgoing, more social. We have more motivation we can tap into during the waxing moon. And we begin to take action on the inspiration that we had during the new moon. The waxing moon then moves into the full moon, and the full moon is like the full-bellied pregnant woman. It's about abundance, about something being ready to be birthed. It's a time of powerful creativity. Imagine that baby, really being formed in the uterus. That creativity of bringing something to life. And the full moon really is about feeling everything intensely. So there's loads of energy at this time. Energy is at its height. And I usually have problems getting to sleep during a full moon because I have attuned to the moon for so long. So when the moon is there full in the sky, I'm feeling full. I'm feeling full of energy and ready to go. And so, be interesting to note if you feel that too. Those restless nights, those nights when you feel that you can't sleep as well, is that when there's a full moon? It's really interesting to note those things. So if you're like me and you find that you can't sleep during the full moon, well then consider having like a calming, relaxing herbal tea before you go to bed. Or try some meditation before you go to bed, or some, yoga nidra, anything that really relaxes you, because that will really help to offset this high energy of the full moon. And so you'll probably be likely to sleep a lot easier during that time. Then after the full moon, the moon starts waning, and the waning moon is about a gradual letting go of anything that's no longer serving you. So if you have a habit that you want to break, then start breaking that habit during the waning moon. You'll have some beautiful, powerful, extra support from nature in that way. Now, here's a tip if you're still going through perimenopause right now, where your periods haven't stopped yet. You may find it useful to make a note of your menstrual cycles alongside the phases of the moon, because perimenopause is a time of chaos, or the whole of menopause is a time of chaos. It really brings things up for us to look at. And during perimenopause, this is when your periods can become erratic. Suddenly you have 1 day with a period, 1 month with a period, and then like a couple of months without one, and then 2 back to back, and it's just a bit crazy. So really, to sort of help you feel a bit more grounded in that chaos, if you actually chart when you're bleeding to the moon, and you're of course connecting with the moon more than you usually do, then you may well start to sort of like gain more of a beautiful, connective, flowy energy to the moon and to nature. And you can find that then will start to influence your menstrual cycles. And you could find that they start to just sort of like sync up a little bit more, so that you can become a little bit more aware of what's going on. And also, most importantly, take that chaos out of it, because you could start to see some patterns emerging. And then you will even know within the chaos when you're likely to have your next period. So that can be a very useful thing for you to do during perimenopause. And, whether you're in perimenopause or you've reached menopause and you're beyond, you can also start making a note of your emotions and your energy alongside the moon, because as I've said, your emotions are influenced by the moon. Your energy is influenced by the moon. So just noting those aspects down in your diary, that could really help a lot. So then you're using the moon, so to speak. You're tapping into its beautiful energy to understand your rhythms of life better. So perhaps you can take some time out for yourself when it's a dark moon and spend some time meditating and reflecting and going easy on yourself if you're feeling tired. Because once you know, okay, I'm in tune with nature here. I'm supposed to be a little bit more tired. I'm supposed to be spending time indoors. And so you're not giving yourself a hard time that you're turning down invitations to be with friends, or, you're just really embracing that time and moving with nature. It can be very comforting indeed. And another thing that you can do for some insight into your life is to find out what your moon sign is. So this is astrology I'm talking about here. Now, you can go to astro.com or cafeastrology.com, or there are many other sites where you can put in your date, time and place of birth, and that will give you your whole astrology chart. But what you can do is look to see where your moon is. So it will tell you what house your moon is in and what planet your moon is in. And then you can look that up, and that will really give you some tremendous insight. And I'll put links to that in the show notes for you. So just generally take time out to start connecting with the moon more deeply by being more aware of the cycle she's in and the cycle you're in. Take a moment to look at her through the trees. Feel her gentle rays flooding down over you. This practice alone can give you a beautiful sense of emotional understanding and grounding during this chaos of menopause that we can get caught up in. Now, I'm actually working on getting a moon calendar on my website, so hopefully there'll be one there soon. So keep your eye out for that. That'll be soulfulmenopause.com/moon calendar. Now, there's so much more I can tell you about the moon and how you can attune to her and how she affects your health and your emotions and your decision making, how you digest your food, your whole life, in fact. And of course, how attuning to the moon can help you through the stages of menopause. So I'm about to launch a wonderful project I've been working on for some time now called Moon Medicine for Menopause. It's going to be a magical month of soulful exploration with the moon. It will help you to start reducing your menopausal symptoms and bring some magic and soulfulness into your life. It's designed to help you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And it's something that you're going to be able to use over and over again as you deepen your connection with the moon. Now, I'm going to be offering an exclusive opportunity to everyone who buys it when it's launched. So I'll probably give you a 7-day period once it's launched to buy it. And if you buy it within that time frame, you're going to receive a free month of live group coaching sessions with me. So you can follow through the Moon Medicine for Menopause with me and with a whole load of other beautiful women, so we can come together to support one another. It's going to be amazing, and you're going to get so much extra support and guidance. You'll be able to connect with like-minded women who are also moving through menopause and, who want to bring more magic and soulfulness and health and well-being into their lives. So it's going to be really motivational and inspirational for you. So in order to get that, you'll need to be receiving my emails, because that offer is only going to be available to my clan of beautiful fire moon goddesses. So if you'd like to join up with the rest of the fire moon goddesses, all you need to do is pop to my website, soulfulmenopause.com, and you'll see on the homepage there's a little section for you to put your first name in and your email address. You'll then start receiving emails from me, and you'll also receive a free copy of my magical forest meditation as well, and that can help you with sleep too. That was designed for sleep. So that's another little tool for you, totally free. That's my gift to you. When you do sign up with me, please make sure you whitelist my email address so that my emails don't go into your trash or promotions folders, or you'll miss that special offer for Moon Medicine for Menopause. So I'm really excited about that. I will let you know as soon as that is launched so that you can get hold of that, and we can start working together as a beautiful tribe of women, all moving through a soulful menopause together. To find out more about how you can live a soulful menopause, please visit soulfulmenopause.com. I'm really looking forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.